So, Elon Musk just left Andrew Ross Sorkin from CNBC completely speechless. Check this out.
Go fuck yourself.
So apparently the Elon Musk visit in Israel completely changed this man. He came back with a vengeance.
There's a public perception that that was part of a apology tour. There was advertisers leaving. We talked to Bob Iger today.
I hope they stop.
You don't want them to advertise?
No. If somebody's going to try to blackmail me with advertising, blackmail me with money, go fuck yourself. Go fuck yourself.
And then he actually also said this.
I'm saying what I care about is the reality of goodness, not the perception of it. And what I see all over the place is people who care about looking good while doing evil. Fuck them.
And if that was enough, he actually said this.
I mean, if the company fails because of an advertiser boycott, it will fail because of an advertiser boycott. And that will be what bankrupted the company, and that's what everybody on earth will know. Let the chips fall where they may.
And in case you thought it was done, not by a country mile, because then he said this.
Of all the posts I've done on the platform, I think there might be 30,000 or something like that.
Right.
Once in a while, I will say something foolish, and I have. And I would certainly put that comment, that you said the actual truth, among perhaps one of the most foolish, if not the most foolish thing I've ever done on the platform. And I did do my best to clarify afterwards that, I certainly do not mean anything anti-Semitic in that. The nature of the criticism was simply that the Jewish people have been persecuted for thousands of years. There is a natural affinity, therefore, for persecuted groups. This has led to the funding of organizations that essentially promote any persecuted group or any group with the perception of persecution. This includes radical Islamic groups. Everyone here has seen the massive demonstrations for Hamas in every major city in the West. That should be jarring. Well, a number of those organizations received funding from prominent people in the Jewish community. Right. They didn't expect that to happen. But if you generically, right, without condition, sort of fund, if you fund persecuted groups in general, some of those persecuted groups, unfortunately, want your annihilation. And what I meant by that, when I subsequently clarified, is that it's unwise to fund organizations that support groups that want your annihilation. Is this coming across clearly?
Yeah, no, it is. My question to you, though,
I think logically this makes a lot of sense.
Is there any part of you, just tell me what happens, though, once all this happens?
Let's say you fund a group, and that group supports Hamas, who wants you to die. Perhaps you should not fund them.
When you see all this happening, are you sitting there going, oh my God, I stepped in it, I wish I didn't do that? Are you saying, screw them, I hate these people, why are they after me?
But all of that. I have no problem being hated, by the way.
I hear you.
Hate away.
Well, so first of all, let's talk about what he just did. And in my book, he gets a lot of respect for standing for what he believes in. Even if he wasn't perfect, even if he made mistakes, even if his tweet or post or whatever you want to call it was completely out of line. The fact of the matter is that he's not afraid to call out the people who are trying to financially bully him into conforming to what they think is right. And I respect a man with the cojones to do something like that. Now, obviously, in the interview, he admits that that tweet was stupid, but he never admitted that the tweet was anti-Semitic, because it wasn't. When I read this tweet, it makes perfect sense to me what he's trying to say, but instead of replying to some idiot or some anti-Semite, check who the guy first is before you reply to him. Maybe write it yourself. When you reply to somebody who has a background of not being very Jew-friendly, who's spitting out a lot of nonsense, and you're trying to comment, obviously it's going to get taken out of context by people who are trying to run a psyop against Elon for the past 2 years. Ever since Elon took over X, he's been under a barrage of attack from the leftists, from the woke, the people who want him gone. So the minute he engaged with that person, which he shouldn't have, and he knows it, he made a mistake. Now look, I don't think Elon is anti-Semitic. I think the tweet was taken out of context. I think it was a horrible idea to post that reply, and he knows it, and he admitted it. I think he clearly posted plenty of content before and after this post showing he's very pro-Jewish and pro-Israel. And he clearly said that anybody who's been going to saying this whole from the river to the sea on X is pretty much calling for genocide. They will be banned. Freedom of speech does not protect us from the cozy and warm and nice things we love to hear. We do not need the protection of freedom of speech from things that we all agree on. Freedom of speech protects the speech that is on the fringe, the speech that cringes you out, that makes you angry, that makes you mad, that annoys you, for the price of allowing everybody to speak their mind. Because once you start talking about, well, that's ain't right, we shouldn't allow that to be said, you start to close in that boundary. Now, obviously, you have to draw the line somewhere. Anti-Semitic calls, definitely 100%. I think X should do a better job of doing that, for sure. A lot of misinformation, yeah, but he's already doing it with community notes. Have you seen community notes? That's a great way to debunk a lot of the FUD and misinformation. We don't need to regulate content if within 10 minutes people come in and with community notes destroy FUD and lies and misinformation. That's the right way to do it. I think Elon's sitting up there with that chain of the kidnap held by Hamas, and the way he was proud of it actually made me feel a little bit emotional. He's definitely not an anti-Semite. He's not anti-Jewish. He's not anti-Israel. Elon Musk is a target. You have to understand that. And this is just another attempt to discredit the guy. Now look, if you've been on social media and you posted on social media, there's this very famous saying, nobody has ever regretted a tweet they didn't tweet. If you're going to be active on social media, if you're going to have a platform, if you're going to have an audience, every once in a while, you're going to say stupid shit. That's just the way the world works. This is how we as humans interact with social media. It's the same thing with Warren Buffett. He once said, look, if you put a cop on a guy and the cop drives behind him for the entire day, he's going to catch that driver with a million offenses. That's just the way the world works. Now, Elon is the most visible guy on X. Whenever he's tweeting in the middle of the night, maybe drunk, maybe more, I don't know, and he says some stupid shit, of course people are going to turn it and weaponize that against him. That doesn't mean that we should be standing by and accepting the claims that he's an anti-Semite just on the face of that stupid response that he did. He has plenty of actions stacked that are basically more impactful than words showing the contrary. The man is not an anti-Semite. He's just a very peculiar guy. He's out there. He likes freedom of speech. He likes unusual opinions. And he's entertaining a lot of different ideas. That does not make him an anti-Semite. Now, I don't think that he went over to Israel for an apology tour. I think that's preposterous. I think what he was doing is trying to figure out what the hell is going on in that part of the world because it's freaking complicated. I think that his reply, basically saying to Bob Iger and Disney to go fuck themselves, was the perfect reply. Because financial bullying by advertisers have been weaponized for the past 40 years. This is why broadcast TV looks the way it is right now. Because everybody's weaponizing their ad spend, their ad money, to force down your throat ideas that they believe in. Bob Iger has been doing this for years with Disney, with the whole woke bullshit. He managed to destroy multiple brands like Star Wars and like many others by shoving these woke ideas down their throat, ramming it with his money. He's trying to do the same thing on X. The only problem is that you can't threaten Elon Musk with financial destruction. He honestly does not give a fuck. It's not about being rich. He has plenty of money, but you have to understand that he literally sits up there and says, look, you're trying to threaten me with money? How ridiculous is that? Because number one, he's the richest guy in the world, but let's put that aside. Elon honestly doesn't give a fuck about money. When he made his exit and he actually got paid hundreds of millions of dollars for PayPal, did he buy real estate and rode off to the sunset to forever live a privileged life? No. He bought a spaceship rocket company and invested in an electric vehicle company almost going broke, literally taking loans. Is not the sort of guy who's financially motivated. He's motivated by creating cool things for people to enjoy and changing the world. When they asked him, hey, do you think you're like the new Howard Hughes? And he said no, and it's not because he went mad, it's because Howard Hughes has never really changed the world. Howard Hughes' inventions are not out there basically impacting our life in 2023. That's what he's all about. So for Bob Iger and other advertisers to threaten him with money, that's the perfect response. You double down, you apologize for being an idiot and posting that thing. You explain what you actually meant was not anti-Semitic. And you basically say, hey, I'm not afraid of you. You're not going to threaten me. Because he knows and we know X is a headache for Elon. He does not need X. It's a public service he's doing for all y'all. He does not need X. He does not need the money. He doesn't need nothing. So he's basically saying, look, if you, the people of the world, will allow these financial bullies to destroy X, so be it. It's your problem. Because look, as flawed as it may be, X is a very important necessity. It's a public service. There's very few platforms that can give you what X can give you. Sure, it has a lot of fixes that need to be had with content moderation, sure. With the way they enforce policies, sure. But it's an infant product. Elon completely revolutionized it. And sure, yeah, it needs work. But we don't have anything else that comes close to this. And he understands this, but he's not going to be bullied and financially threatened to roll back the clock and go back to what X used to be, because what's the whole point? Then let it die. I totally understand this. Now look, people on X are going to be very judgmental. It's a very powerful platform, lots of opinions, and you know what they say about opinions. Opinions are like assholes. Everybody's got one. Sure, you got people like Peter Zeihan saying that Elon is a schmuck and they're leaving X. So be it. You have other people like me who respect him more for what he did. This is not about popularity. I don't think you should be taking action because of what will be popular and what will be mainstream. Some people will hate you. Some people will love you. Some people will leave. New people will join. It is what it is. The bottom line here is very simple. I respect him for being unapologetic and standing for his values. I do not think for the least that he's an anti-Semite. I think that he scares the establishment because of the way he handles himself. And I think that he's 100% real. He's a flawed individual, like all of us. But unlike most of these executives, he's not trying to hide it and pretend that he's 100% normal, A-okay. He's out there. His thing is on his fucking sleeve. So I respect that. As flawed as he is, as flawed as X is, I prefer that over what X used to be as Twitter. Sue me. See you in the next video.